بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Assalamu alaikum fam, may peace and blessings of God be with you all. Welcome back to my channel. The topic for today is why should we choose belief in Allah versus belief in any other God? They say, well, there's Buddha, Krishna, Jesus, Diana, Astarte, Zeus, Hera, Apollo, and the list goes on. So why choose to follow Allah and not a different God or goddess? You know, when someone asks me this, I honestly feel just saying, because there is no other God but Allah. End of story. But I realize that we have to have good reasons to believe. Otherwise, it's just blind faith and wishful thinking. And what would make, at that point, my claim any different from someone who says they believe in, I don't know, a flying spaghetti monster or a talking unicorn God? I similarly would ask them why they believe this, and they would say because there is no other God. So the conversation would pretty much end right there, and no one would learn anything because obviously I wouldn't accept that for an answer, and no normal person would. So I just end up thinking that they're basically crazy, and so is their belief. So, as much as internally we can understand why we choose Allah and Islam versus others, if we cannot word it out properly and explain it, we would too just seem insane and baseless to someone who isn't a Muslim. This is why, fam, today I want to give you 3 reasons why I choose to believe in Allah versus other gods. Number 1, Allah simply means God in Arabic. It's not really a name like Zeus or Diana or Hera. All these idol names are names given to them by people. They represent other people or human-like creatures that they made into deities. Deities they can picture in their minds, describe what they look like, and make statues and representations out of. Deities often have families, rivals, emotions, with many of them being born and dying at some point. Well, for me, fam, no man or woman, no matter what supernatural powers they have, will ever be God, and I will never see them as worthy of worship. Why? Because they all have a beginning and an end, which makes them limited, and they themselves are reliant on people. Without statues and pictures of Zeus, who would know Zeus? No one, right? People have to make up stories, myths, about these idol gods and make them into these special characters to be worshipped. Otherwise, they simply wouldn't exist. These myths and merchandise representing them, probably merchandise isn't the best word, but I'm talking about all the things that people worship that can be bought. Pictures, icons, statues. Not only they don't benefit us or protect us, they themselves rely on our protection. If you take a statue of Buddha and break that statue, does Buddha have any power to fix it or prevent such a thing from happening? No. Buddha was a man who relied on food, sleep, and water like every other person, who received life and from whom that life was taken away. I mean, he is dead now. So, all these things people worship are a creation, weak and limited. On the other hand, we have the concept of Allah, who has no image, no picture could be drawn of him, no statue could be made to represent him, who has no beginning and no end, and who gives a beginning and end to everything. Allah, whom we know not through myths and depictions, but through attributes, of which there is 99, such as Al-Qudus, the absolute pure, Al-Aziz, the almighty, Al-Halik, the creator, Al-Bari, the originator, Al-Hakam, the giver of justice, Al-Hafid, the all-protecting, Al-Hakim, the all-wise, Al-Wadud, the most loving. I won't go through all of them, as I mentioned there's 99, with the final one being Allah, meaning God. Allah is not masculine or feminine. It's not a name or title. It's not like God or Goddess or Zeus and Hera, whereas by saying that he is God would imply that he isn't a goddess. Word Allah has no gender and cannot be made into a plural because God is nothing like his creation, which is divided into masculine and feminine, forming a balance. God is the creator of that balance, and he is unique in the sense that he is one and absolute, and nothing we can imagine with our minds is Allah. He is far beyond what our minds can imagine. I mean, for us, it's mentally hard to grasp even the size of our own universe, yet alone the creator who designed it. So fam, when it comes to choosing a religion and following God, I choose to worship the creator and not any of his creations such as people, spirits, angels, demons, universe, nature, idols, and everything else. Now, reason number 2. It is said that if we do not learn from history, we're bound to repeat it. I look at all the nations of the past to whom Allah sent prophets that called people to abandon the worship of creation and worship the Creator instead, and who rejected those prophets, and what was the outcome? People of, for example, Noah, people of Moses and the Pharaoh, people of Hud, people of Salih, people of Abraham, people of Lot, people of Shuaib, and on, peace be upon them all. Except the Pharaoh. There's no peace upon the Pharaoh, but I'm talking about the prophets. And the story is the same every time. God sends a messenger calling people to God, majority reject them, believers get saved, disbelievers get destroyed. Now we're all in the same exact situations as those nations of the past. A prophet was sent to us, Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Some accept him, some don't, and our outcome will be that as of those people before us. And fam, I don't know about you, but I sure do hope that when the time comes for our nation to be recycled, I would be next to the believers and not face the same fate as the rejectors of the prophets. I realize that I can't disbelieve now and deny everything if I choose. I do have free will. We all have free will. But it won't last long. There will be a point when everyone will believe, even the most aggressive of deniers. But for many, when that time comes, it will be just too late. So I choose to learn from the mistakes of other people and from the history of other people and not make such mistakes myself. Therefore, I accept Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam and I bear witness that there is no God but Allah and Muhammad was his messenger. And Jesus was his messenger. And Abraham was his messenger. And Noah was his messenger. You guys get the picture. Third and final reason we'll talk about today is the Quran, the final book God revealed to us and for us. As many of you know, I became a Muslim after reading just a couple of pages of the Quran, perhaps even less than that. In my long search for truth, it took just a few verses for me to see it within the Quran when I read it. I knew right then and there that this book is not a fabrication of a human being, like the Bible, for example, or any other book for that matter. I knew that what I have in front of my eyes is a text so powerful that it could have only been made by our Creator, and no human being wrote this. It made my heart drop and tears run from my eyes. And fam, I never cry, unless from shock or anger when I try to hold it back. But those tears were different. I felt my soul at the moment. I felt this text is going straight through my heart into my soul. And like our eyes tear when seeing a bright light after a long darkness, I felt my soul crying from seeing the light after a lifelong darkness. This experience made me a Muslim, but deep inside, it did not make me fully a believer yet, as weird as that may sound. Like, I accepted the book as something from beyond this world, and I wanted to be associated with people who follow it, so I said my shahada. But my logical mind demanded that I look for flaws in the religion until I feel absolutely no doubt. And so I did. And I did find flaws, but in people, in religious branches they created, in baseless views of some scholars and the books and articles they wrote. But I had never found any flaw in the Quran, God's message. On the contrary, the more I read it, the more I realized how much of a miracle the Quran is. The Quran straight out tells us it's from God. Like, There is no beating around the bush where people have to, guess and make such claims themselves because the book doesn't say it. No. God is very straightforward with us in the Quran. He basically tells us directly that this book is from Him, the creator of the universe. Now try to find fault in it or disprove it. Moreover, it challenges us by saying you can never do it. And that's the truth. You can't. The challenge still stands, if anyone is up for it. But for me, the eloquence, the wisdom, the power behind it just brought my mind into submission and made me realize that if I were to reject it, despite seeing the truth in it, I would be at a great loss in this world and the hereafter. So for me, the choice became clear, and at that time, I no longer had any doubts. Thank you, fam, for watching. I hope you liked today's video. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala continue guiding us on the straight path. May He protect us from the influence of the shayateen. And may He bless all of the believers in this world and the hereafter. See you all next video, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.